Not everyone needs access to you, and your past standards are the past for a reason. Welcome to this episode of Yes She Is podcast. Today's episode is all about Yes She Is Guarded. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have a bunch of energy and I'm about to start my period because I'm very ambitious right now to get a bunch of stuff done. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to record 2 to 3, 4 podcast episodes for Yes She Is because I have not edited or I haven't filmed or recorded any of the podcasts. And so I was like, you know what? I'm up. I'm energetic. I had a bunch of creative ideas. So today we're going to be recording a podcast or multiple podcast episodes. Not everyone needs access to you, and your past standards are the past for a reason. Welcome to this episode of Yes She Is podcast. I'm excited for this episode as we're going to be diving into what the Bible has to say about our relationships with ourselves. Through the Yes She Is podcast, it's all about seeing what the Bible says about our relationship with God, ourselves, and with others. And today we're actually going to be talking about having a relationship with others. And maybe not really having a relationship, but more of like breaking off a relationship. Something that I have learned multiple times in my life is realizing how much not everyone needs access to your life. Something that for some reason randomly clicked to me randomly one time was actually when I was just scrolling on Instagram and somebody was like, not everyone needs access to you. And I was like, okay, I keep hearing that statement, but like, what does that mean? And then I was looking at my close friends and I was realizing how many other people's close friends I wasn't in. I was like, I wonder why I'm not in their close friends. And then it hit me. I'm not in their close friends because I don't have access to that person's life. I don't have access to know that person in the way that I would want to see or want to know them. But at the same token, when I looked at my own close friends, I selected a certain amount of people who I wanted to see a specific part of my life. And that got me thinking about what does the Bible say about letting people have access to you in your relationship with God, in your relationship with your life, in your relationship with your family, and things like that. And it actually took me to the book of Judges, specifically the life of Samson. Now, if you don't know, Samson was a mighty man of God. He was given the gift of what's called, let me see. It's a specific thing that God says about him, but he was very called. He specifically says, because his story is from Judges 13 to about 15, 16. Yeah. Oh, dang. Judges 13 to maybe it's 17. He's got 4 whole chapters. No, 3. So it's 13 to 16. So 3 whole chapters, just specifically talking about his life, his calling. And the book of Judges is in between. It's right after Joshua, who was the last main man of God that God specifically spoke to, like Moses. And Moses, after Moses, it was Joshua once they got into the promised land. And then from there, that's when God just appointed multiple judges over the land to rule over the land. And Samson was one of them. And in Judges 13, God sent an angel to, to Manoah, who, no. Okay, they don't say her name, I don't think. So to the wife of Manoah, she was barren and had no children, and an angel of the Lord was sent to her to tell her that she's going to conceive and bear a son. And this is chapter 13, verse 5. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So in this time, the Philistines have been really just I think was Israel under? Now, mind you, we are learning the Bible together, okay? Let me see. Did the Philistines take over? Yes. So the Lord delivered the Israelites into the hands of Philistines for 40 years, primarily because the Israelites were sinning and not believing in God and were worshiping other gods, i.e., why they were given into the hand of the Philistines. But God still loved Israel so much that he gave them judges. And this is why he gave them Samson to be the deliverer from the Philistines and to be the man of God. And so that's why he gave her specific rules of like no razor shall come upon his head, because his strength was in his hair. And it was really not even just about the hair, but the faith in his hair. And that's actually something that I implemented in my life, was a prayer of let my hair be a testimony of my faith. As my faith grows, let my hair grow. And that's something that I received from this Bible story, but also about learning, like your parents growing up. My mom would always say, your hair is your glory. And learning that and hearing that multiple times throughout my life, and then reading the book of Samson, or not the book of Samson, the story of Samson, and hearing how God was like, no razor shall cut his hair, shall touch his hair, because I will deliver him. I will deliver Israel from the Philistines, and his strength was in his hair, which I'll explain later once we dive deeper into the story. That kind of, for me, was like a visual picture of, okay, if I want to be a testimony, if I want my life to be a testimony, I want to share my faith with others. And my hair is something that people always talk to me about, like, oh, I love your hair. I know it's in a bonnet, but I got to show off my lovely bonnet. But if that's something that I really want to push out and let people know about, then I was like, Lord, let my hair be my testimony. As my faith grows, let my hair grow. And I have told that testimony to so many people, because my hair literally, every time I would like really seek the Lord, have faith for things, and I would just see my faith increase, my hair literally would grow. And like, I'm not joking, like, yes, my hair grows, but it was like a bunch of growth. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's God. And people would ask me, how's your hair grow? And I'm like, it's literally prayer. Like, yeah, I do some hair treatments here and there, but those hair treatments don't do the growth that my faith does. So that's something that I got from this story. But the real reason why I really want to dive into this specific, the specific part that I really want to talk about when it comes to like having access to you in the past, your past standards not being your present standards, is because we have allowed too many people into our lives. We have social media where we follow people that we probably just met the day before at like a party, at a social event, at a networking event, in class. And sometimes just because you have a good time and have fun with them does not mean they need to be in your close friends. You don't need to prove nothing in your close friends to these people. Like, if you really want to have a good relationship with them, just message them, just get to know them. But the reason why I say that is because not everyone needs access to you based off of the lifestyle that they are living and the lifestyle that you want to live. So we're going into chapter 14, Judges chapter 14, and what's it called? It goes, now Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Mind you, she's a woman of the Philistines, and God's supposed to be delivering Israel from the Philistines. Now his mom did not understand what was going on, but God did. And what's it called? He goes on to say that he wants her to be his wife. And if you read through the story, I'd highly recommend you read through the story. So on this one, they had a whole wedding feast, and Samson put on a riddle. And the riddle is in verse 14. So he said to them, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. They had, he was like, let me pose a riddle to you. If you can correctly solve and explain it to me within the 7 days of the feast, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. But if you cannot explain it to me, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. And so then that's when he gave them the riddle. And the riddle was based off of a situation that he had went through, I think, like earlier that day, but he told no one about it. It was more of like a game, not a bet, more of like a game for them to pose at the wedding feast. Mind you, 7-day feast, sign me up. I want that for my wedding. Anyways, and so then it goes on, 3 days go past. They can't figure out what the riddle means, and they are charging the woman like, hey, like, tell us what it is. Tell us what the riddle is. And this is what they say in verse 15. But it came to pass on the 7th day that they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband that he may explain the riddle to us, or else we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Keep that in mind. I just want y'all to keep that in mind. Heavily keep that verse right there in mind. Specifically the fact that, or else we will burn you and your father's house with fire. So then later on, what's it called? The woman entices him and she's like, you only hate me. You don't love me. Like, why wouldn't you tell me what the riddle is? Mind you, she's manipulating him because, yes, I get it. You want to protect your family. You're scared of what's going to happen. They're going to burn them because best believe I'm pretty sure they actually would. And that's very scary. But the crazy thing is, she didn't honestly tell him like, hey, this is the issue. These men are going to burn down my home and my family if you don't tell me what this riddle is. Instead, she manipulates him and is basically enticing him to gaslighting him to make her feel like she's the one who's not being loved, not being taken care of, and he's making fun of her. Girl, please. Why would you do that to Samson? So then, mind you, in this storyline, I'm telling you, in the perspective of you being Samson and not having access to you, and your past standards not being your future standards. And he goes on. He explains, he's like, look, I have not explained it to my father or my mother, so should I explain it to you? She goes on to cry and be sad again, like you still haven't told me, you don't love me. Then he finally tells her. Samson tells his wife. The wife goes and tells the companions or the men, the city. Yeah, the men of the city. That's what they're called, the men of the city. Mind you, Samson knows that he only told one person. He only told one person, his wife, about the situation. She go run and tell the men of the city so that they don't what? Give him 30 pieces of clothing and garments. Was it that serious? Or was it a pride thing? Just thoughts. Anyways, that's not the point. Point is, getting back to the verse, the story. So then they tell him, oh, this is what your riddle means. And they explain what is sweeter than honey and what is stronger than a lion. It's giving Jeopardy. Anyways, he said, and then Samson says to them, if you had not plowed with my heifer, meaning his wife, you would not have solved my riddle. He knew that they had got on her and plotted against her for him to tell her. And then she went and told them. And that's how they knew. Instead of paying the garments, they plotted against him. And in return, they got destroyed. Because the Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, and he went down there, killed 30 of their men, took their apparel, and gave the changes of clothing those who had explained the riddle. So not only did they manipulate her to thinking that they were going to burn down her home and her household and her family, instead they got killed and destroyed. Does that make sense? Now here's where it gets very interesting. I think that Samson's calling over his life was very different from us being as women in our relationships, in our standards. Because Samson, in my view, if we are Samson, too many of us are like Samson. We did not learn from our past mistakes, whether it's a friend or a man. We did not learn. Because the next woman that Samson gets with, her name is Delilah. No one talks about the fact that this is his second wife and the fact that this situation happened to him twice, because Delilah had the same situation happen to her. Everyone was trying to figure out, where did he get his strength from? So then, where is it? In chapter 16, literally same story, just probably a few years later. Chapter 16, verse 4. Afterward it happened that he loved a woman of the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came to her and said to her, entice him and find out where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And every one of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. Manipulation. These men, remember that, these men manipulated a woman into manipulating a man, her husband. How many people have enticed you, whether it's with danger of your family and your intimate people, or with money or material things, for you to go against your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, or a relationship with someone that you're very intimate and close with, a loved one, a significant other. These are the things that we have to be more aware of, especially when we are looking around at who we want to have access to us, is listening to the words that they are saying to us. Are they manipulating me, or are they keeping me accountable? Are they being honest and transparent with me, or are they hiding information? Are they gaslighting me? Because literally right after this, it goes into verse 6. So Delilah said to Samson, please tell me where your great strength lies, and with you what you may abound to afflict you. And then Samson was smart, though. Samson was very smart and very strategic, because like I said, it was the calling of God over him. But ladies, if you are not Samson, okay, that unless God told you are Samson, you are not Samson, okay? If your man or your friend does this to you, mind you, not to, listen to this. If your man or your friend does this to you, this is a red flag. Red flag or red flag. Do not continue relationship. Cut all ties. Because let's continue. It says, Samson said to her, if they bind me with 7 fish bowstrings, not yet dried, then I shall become weak and be like any other man. He was strategic in what he said to see if the information she gave to her will leak out. Again, mind you, he did that with his first wife. He's on his second wife. Let's see what happens. So the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings, not yet dried, and she bound him with them. Not only did they manipulate her into finding out the information, they also manipulated her into actually doing the action. First of all, cowards. Second of all, girl, please. Really? Really? Now men were lying in wait, staying with her in the room, and she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. Please. But he broke the bowstrings as a strand of yarn breaks when it touches fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. Big guns, big guns. Mind you, this is what she says afterward. So he said to her, So then Delilah said to Samson, look, you have mocked me and told me lies. Now please tell me what you may be bound with. Stop the car, pump the brakes. What are you doing? You stayed with her. Now, mind you, they were in a marriage. God had a calling over him to deliver Israel out of the Philistines. He was a judge. So in this storyline, something that I read or heard in a sermon, I think it was by Myron Golden. Was it Myron Golden? It was somebody. And they said, when you read the Bible, you should be able to see yourself in the stories. But not only see yourselves, but learn from the mistakes of the stories. That's who it was. It was Stephen Furtick. And he was talking about our parents. He was like, learn from what your parents did, but you don't have to do exactly what your parents did. Just because your parent was an alcoholic does not mean you have to be an alcoholic. Just because your parents had a child out of wedlock doesn't mean you have to have a child out of wedlock. And in this situation, taking that information, taking that knowledge from the Bible is for instruction and for guidance and for understanding and a little bit of entertainment, because these stories are very interesting. Like, this is a whole, it could be a telenovela, it could be a whole drama. I would watch this heavy, probably on repeat. But we can learn from many perspectives, Because maybe you're a Delilah in the story. Maybe you're Samson in the story. Maybe you're one of the men of the Philistines who are still trying to take control over what God is delivering away from you, delivering out of your hand, because he loves his people so much. And so this goes on 2 or 3 more times. Let me see. Yeah, it goes on 3 different times. Because I was 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes on 4 times. It goes on 4 freaking times. 4 times. Ma'am, girl, sister, don't let it go past once or twice. What did J. Cole say? He said, fool me 1 time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Girl, it's all on you. Fool me 3 times? What are you doing? What are you doing? At this point, you like that mess and you're in a pattern. She literally gaslit him 4 different times about, you don't love me. Mind you, Samson has watched her fool him, not even fool him, but Samson has watched her take what he says and do that exact action against him. And then gaslights him into believing, you don't love me. That's not a relationship of love. That's a relationship of verbal abuse, mental abuse. That is confusion, which is not of God. So if you are with someone in a relationship intimately, or in a relationship friendship-wise, get out of that. Like, this whole podcast is about bettering yourself and growing. Because I believe in you. You believe, God believes in you. And he has so much more for you. Not manipulation, but of love. And if you are Delilah, girl, open your eyes to the manipulation that you are allowing the enemy to use through you. You've got other people speaking to you, telling you, oh, we'll give you this if you do this and this and this. You're being used. You have no authority. Even if you feel like you do, you don't. Authority comes with kingdom. Authority comes from a foundation of knowing that my God wins. Because in this story, Delilah lost every time. She was proven wrong, looked like a fool to the men of Philistines, but also to the lords of the Philistines. My bad, let me give them credit. Looked like a fool to the lords of the Philistines, but also an enemy to your own husband, an enemy to your own friend. That's not of God, and that's not growth. So going through all of that, opening our eyes to becoming better, to being a woman of God, and having relationships with women of God and men of God as well. Open your eyes to see, okay, is the friendship and the conversation that I have with this person, is it manipulative? Are they gaslighting me? Are they hypocrites? Are they saying one thing and then doing another? Is the information that I'm giving to them ending up coming right back around to me, whether it's verbally or through actions, when I only told you? Because not only is this person manipulating you, but they're also gossiping about you as well. And that's not a friendship. That's not a loving relationship. Unless, of course, it's a serious reason, a serious issue that needs to be taken care of. But there was no serious issue or reasoning for Delilah or his first wife to go and tell their people who manipulated them or enticed them to find out information that they could not even just be honest and upfront to Samson about. So I hope this episode helps you realize that not everyone needs access to you. If you're learning how to maneuver this phase of removing people from having access to you, my biggest tips, number one, is check your social media. Maybe unfollow them. Maybe block them. I've had to block a few people myself. Unfollowing them, muting their stories, muting their posts. Maybe that's something you need to do. Distancing how many times you conversate with them or talk to them. Not whenever they want to hang out. Figure out a way to get out of it. You don't have to lie and say, oh, I'm busy, and you know you're free. Make yourself busy. Oh, I'm cleaning. Oh, I've got a doctor's appointment. But I'm going to wrap this episode with the verse, Philippians 4:7, and it says, "The peace of God, the peace of God which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." Not everyone needs access to you. Guard your heart, guard your peace, guard who enters into relationship with you. You don't have to be in a relationship with everybody and anybody. You don't have to let anybody have access to you. Just because you have access to their life does not mean that they have to have access to your life. One thing that I learned, that I'm so glad that I learned, is just because I'm someone's best friend does not mean they're my best friend. Just because I'm someone's friend and close companion does not mean that they're my friend and close companion. I'm very selective on who I let in my circle because I use the spirit of discernment to ensure, okay, if I let you into my life, is this someone that God has ordained to be in my life, someone that's trustworthy, someone who's going to use wisdom, someone who's seeking God for their own salvation before I let them into my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Yes She Is podcast. Yes, She Is Guarded. Learning how to set boundaries and not letting everyone have access to you. And your past standards does not have to be your future standards. Love you guys.